Let's see, though, how the discussions go. Yeah, and then no distractions. I'll pass it to you, Ashley.
Two mute buttons. Okay, my top comms priority this week is to personally show like a Meet the Makers event, just event shilling, and also keep up on my issues, which last week I just want to say I did so much better, and I'm really proud of myself. And my intention for this call, stream, sync up, see if I missed any issues, and distractions are just working in the background. And I will pass it over to Jake.
Thanks, Ash. Top comms priority for this week would probably just be some donor outreach, shilling, Meet the Makers. Otherwise, I'm pretty heavily vested in fundraising grants, etc., which is kind of not really comms. Intention for the call, just to stay in tune with comms, as well as I did add one bullet point about Giving Tuesday below, so hopefully we can kind of make that. I'm just interested if we have any plans with that. Distractions, just doing some Discord messages as well. I will pass it along to Lauren.
Thank you, Jake. My intentions for the week, or my priorities for the week, are Give Power focused. I want to get the Give Power video script ready, and then just kind of keep like pushing issues from the development standpoint. Then that will lead into like writing a blog post. Plus, just like maintaining all of the and reviewing all the issues around Twitter that are coming up in the GitHub. And I'm looking forward to today's Giveth Basics. I think it's today. Looking forward to that. My intentions for the call are like, I'm really looking forward to talking about this Iranian comms campaign and the Voice of Giveth stuff. And I have a lot of work I'm distracted by, so I'm like running around my DMs. I will pass it to Griff.
GM. I wanted to show my very shilly comms background and also use my second monitor for this call. My intentions are to jump in on the things that Lauren told me I should care about. And I think there's the Iran thing and being here in the bear market. So I figured, hey, let's talk about it. So those are my intentions. And I will pass it to, did Almond go?
No, not yet. Thank you. So my top comms priority this week is to gather feedback around the Giveth Essentials session. For me, that's super important. And as well to plan next week Twitter space around the Giveth house. My intentions for this call is to talk about the doing good tweet that I planned for today, that Corey already reviewed, just to check in that, and I have no distraction. And I'll pass it to Suga.
Thank you. Hey, everybody. Well, here to sync up, and my priorities this week are to wrap up this the project owner's course descriptions, which is done and needs review, and then a couple of wacky loose ends that I discovered that Ahmad, I think, already ironed out from some of those videos, and then okay, yes, distracted by the end of the day. I also just had my birthday.
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday! I'm a little bit concerned by the Twitter dumpster fire, but anyway, that's the whole story. I'm going to move on to the SSIR and some other big projects. But meanwhile, I can do something else as well. So if we get to the board for that, we can count me in. I'll pass it to Claire.
Hi everyone, thanks Suga. My comms focus for this week is the usual social planning and to start working out some engagement strategies. Maybe getting LinkedIn into the Orbit app as well to start seeing what reports we can get from that. the project survey to finish off, and the other things are not really comms. And my focus for the call is to hear more about the Iranian comms thing, and just a little bit distracted by doing a few worky things in the background. Who didn't go? Franco, did you go? Over to you.
Thank you, Claire. Yeah, so my top comms priority for the week is helping Alman organize next week Twitter space, and also finishing some docs, updating with Tropical Mango. And yeah, that's it. Intention for the call is catching up. I haven't been attending the last 2 comms calls, so just to see what's going on, where can I help? And yeah, no distractions at all. And I'll pass it to Sim.
Thanks, Franco. Hey, everyone. My top priorities for the week. I want to sync up with Ahmad on the analytics after our call last week on what's possible to get in terms of what happens on our platform, and then what we can get in terms of the website. And then any other priority that's been mentioned, the Iranian topic, if anything that I can help with there. And then something else to progress on would be the social planner selection. We've narrowed it down, and I just want to set up demos and see what the next step is so that we can conclude that. I don't have any distractions. I'm sitting without electricity, but I do have Wi-Fi, so that's great. And I'll pass to Ahmad.
Thanks, Sam. Hope that everything is okay where you are. So this week, my main areas of focus are I want to finalize sending out the newsletter. So I want to send that out next week. So I want to make sure that I compile everything for that. Also, I wanted to go over some of the stats that we want to regularly share. So maybe turning that into a infographic of some sort. And that's one of the items that we have on the agenda today. And I'm also exploring a referral system. So there's this software that I'm speaking with that said that they can set up a referral system for us. So I'll probably post that on the forum to get feedback from everybody here. Those are like my top 3 things for the week, and I'm not distracted, so I'm excited. Let me pass it to, who didn't go? Nicola?
Yes, me.
Okay.
Thanks, Ahmad. Hi, everyone. Yeah, okay. My top comms priorities, I guess, is to do a great job co-hosting Meet the Makers and having a planning call right after it. Intentions for the call are also definitely support the Iran project, and yes, see where else I can provide some valuable input. And otherwise, no distractions. Happy to be here with you. And was I the last one? Claire, did you go?
Mm-hmm.
I went already.
I think that might be everybody.
Yeah, I can go.
Oh, pick an angle.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So no distractions. My main focus of the week will be to finish up the onboarding campaign. So I'm about halfway through, finish up the Moonbeam grant, just waiting to hear back on Monique from that and making a couple tweaks with the incentives. So thanks, Griff, for that feedback. And also just to throw it out there from our call on what people think about Sales Navigator for LinkedIn for grants outreach. So those will be my top focuses for the week, and just seeing if there's anywhere else as well where I can lend a hand in between working on all this stuff. And I think I'm the last one, right? So back to you, Corey.
Okay. Breachies, I think you still need to go, right? If you're there.
Yeah, I recently joined. I only came to listen and learn. So, thank you.
Okay, cool. Welcome.
Welcome.
Okay, great. Awesome. Yeah, thanks for all the updates. Really good to hear. Yeah, so we can move on to the agenda. We've got some really cool things to talk about today, and also some items to check off towards the bottom. So maybe we can start first with the top of the agenda. So the very first issue that we have up here is around like a comms campaign focused around like what's going on in Iran at the moment. And I was talking to Lauren about this for a while, and I know Griff, like this was also coming from you. Maybe you want to speak to this directly. But we created first an issue about this to have as a placeholder, and then the idea is to talk about this really as a group across the communications group here to see how we could potentially facilitate a campaign to highlight projects on the Giveth app that are related, to supporting Iran during this time, and maybe some other ideas as well.
Sure. I think this is a unique selling point that Giveth is willing to take on projects like this, where, we shouldn't ever say, hey, Gitcoin canceled these projects, but they did. And so that can be kind of an undertone. But we don't ever want to disparage Gitcoin. They are our number one allies. So, but I think it's really cool that we have so many cool projects that have raised funds using our platform to support the effort in Iran. More people have, I think I saw some stat that like more people have died since the protests have erupted in Iran than people who died in Ukraine. So like, and things like this, like it's a really bad thing that's happening in Iran, and very few donation platforms can actually support these projects, right? Like this is it's especially prime. And yeah, and I think we could actually gather a lot of support for some kind of campaign. The goal should be to highlight lots of projects. I don't know exactly how you guys want to do it, but we have several projects there. We only have like 200 non-giving block projects or something. So I think somewhere around 8 or 10 are focused on Iran. So we should probably just get a little blurb about each one. Or I don't know about the details, but that's just I feel like we could do this kind of themed fundraising effort for a variety of projects on a regular basis, and it seems like this one is a good one to start with.
I think that's
into
awesome.
the issue, and I added I think 5 projects that I know of that are focused right now on Iran, and as I see them come through listing and unlisting, I can add them into the issue as well. So as they get made, I can make sure to list them in there so you guys know. One thing I do want to mention is that during times of crisis, it's common for people to try to take advantage of that and scam people. So before we publicize these projects, I'd love if we at least just took a little bit of a look at them to make sure that it's something legit. And then also keep in mind that we might want to protect the identities of these project owners. So I'm not sure about public Twitter spaces, or I was thinking, meet the makers, but I'm not sure we want to ask these people to get up and say that this is my project, so maybe just taking that into consideration too.
I think for some of them that's true, but for a lot of them it's not. A lot of them, it's Iranian people who are like, what the fuck? Why can't people donate to these causes? This is dumb. So there are a lot of people who do want to stand up. So I wouldn't totally discount a Twitter space or something of that nature, because there's a whole Web3 Iranian community that we could probably get. Amin Salami, who did Spank Chain, and Mulek Dao, he's part Iranian and a big supporter of the cause. There's a few people that used to work for Consensus. There's a whole Coin Iran media platform that exists. So, and there's a little group. There's a little subgroup of maybe 30 or so influencers in the Iran space in a Telegram group that I'm in that I could that we could push comms to for ideas too, if we want to lean on them.
Wow, I like it a lot. I wanted to just comment that I noticed that those projects that we listed in the issue, that they seem to be legit and have a Twitter account. So maybe the Twitter direction sounds like the best, because yes, they can show their Twitter identity right there, and it can feel good. And I actually, after hearing you now, Griff, speaking, sounds as a great idea to make it really special maybe, and invite some of the more impactful people from the Web3 space that could join the space, maybe together with these projects. And just a little comment that I had on around the Meet the Makers Discord session versus Twitter session. We just had this little differentiation for the Discord event. We invite the projects that are verified, and not all of those projects that are actually listed right now, even newly on our platform, are verified yet they seem to be legit. So it could be a good place to just take it to the Twitter. That would be my 2 cents.
I wonder if this week, I mean, the Twitter space that's coming up on the 30th, that's the Giveth House one. Maybe that one's not so time sensitive and we could do it on a different day and use the 30th time slot if 8 days away isn't too short. I don't know, just an idea.
I think that we could easily still do this in 3 weeks. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's super time sensitive, but I think that this is kind of like ongoing, and in 3 weeks people will still be raising funds to do like that follow-up meet the Twitter space, because like we'd need like this week maybe to like plan out tweets, review the projects, and then next week we could be sharing about them, the following week publicizing our Twitter space, and then the next week have the Twitter space. I don't know.
Yeah, it depends how much would go into organizing that Twitter space, but it sounds to me like it would just be like some basic outreach, like just getting it scheduled, doesn't take too much effort. I mean, it would be plausible to do for next week, in my opinion. If it's just to have if it's like a conversational Twitter space, right, about what's going on and like what people's input is on it. But again, I don't know how, Almond, can you maybe speak to like how much has already been solidified with the one next week?
Sure. So I was just talking to Griff to check his agenda, and I was checking with the ETH Gathering people to have a little bit about the history of the Giveth House, how can you support the house, and what happened last week around the ETH Gathering. So next week, Twitter Space is kind of like time sensitive because it's just touching in what happened last week and getting maybe some of the people that was there and was in the house to tell their experiences about it. So to be honest, I don't really know how fast these people will answer to have a Twitter space next week. For sure, I can try to put together something, but sometimes it really does not depend on us. It depends on the reply or like how much time it takes for people to answer if they can or not join. So maybe, to be honest, I think that just to have more time to plan this, we could do the next one, which is the 14th of December. That's like the next day for the Twitter space. If that's my thought, but I don't know what other people think.
Does this run into Give Power timelines in terms of like when we're going to want to be doing a big push for that?
Yeah, I don't know. It might. It might. It probably will.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I guess that sounds like the easiest timeline. We can still focus on like getting comms, like the first round of comms out, which would be in the form of like tweet threads, right? And promoting the project, like you said, Lauren, where we're taking like this week to kind of like quickly check the projects and prepare the comms around it. And then we could put it out next week. We have a Twitter space about something else and then have the next one, or we shift up the Twitter space schedule and just have like, would we do that? Like just have 2 in a row?
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe that's the best option, that instead of just sticking ourselves to every 2 weeks, we could do this week ETH Gathering or Giveth House, next week 30th Giveth House, the following week Iran, the following week Give Power.
Sure, that sounds cool. We can definitely do that.
Just as one off. We don't need to do Twitter Spaces every week, but like because we have so much content right now.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay. And so, yeah, I mean, I think that sounds awesome. Like if you're in a Telegram group, Griff, also with like Iranian influencers or like getting input there, because I mean, that's ultimately like, I guess who we want to hear from, or anyone that's like closely connected to it and can speak to that from that perspective. And otherwise, like in terms of like that would be more for, I guess, like an audio format, like for a space, right? And then in terms of like us creating content that's written right now, there shouldn't really be anything holding us back other than just checking into the projects, right? Because if they've listed their project on Giveth, we're just using that. We don't need to like expose any identities. So it's not really a concern. We could just go ahead and start creating content around like something similar to the verified projects tweet thread. But also Lauren and I were talking about this a little bit yesterday, and maybe it's also smart to be incorporating like whatever you guys think about this, but like incorporating ideas around like, this is why, like this is some of the use cases of Web3, right? And decentralization. When you have situations like this arise in other countries, like we can still provide aid because of, the infrastructure that we use here. So kind of tying in some of that messaging into it, along with highlighting the projects on Giveth, like donate now as a call to action.
Yeah, I think the best way forward is to start drafting tweets for next week. And we could even do a thread featuring a few projects if they're like kind of similar, but like we could even do multiple different threads with each one featuring only one project, and also commenting a little bit about like how this project is addressing the situation. I think providing a little bit of like tiny bits of news of like what's going on without like being like, okay, this building was just burned, but like kind of commenting about what's actually happening. Because I don't think that a lot of people know very broadly, especially maybe not necessarily people who follow Giveth, know very broadly about what's happening in Iran. So we could kind of like put like this is happening in Iran, then these two projects are looking to solve that problem in this one way. And we could do like maybe 3 different tweet threads, feature 6 different projects, 2 in each one, and also each one like commenting on a different like element of like the political situation. So like one is like, people in Iran are experiencing extreme censorship on their internet, and these projects are like helping create access. Or like, people in Iran are being arrested for like not properly wearing their hijab, and these projects are helping those people. And like kind of doing like different angles of like thematic news, I think would be kind of like a fun way of doing it. And I think the best way to do it is to spend like time this week, maybe get like a couple of people on those tweet threads, maybe like Amin or Nicola could help, but we can also coordinate in the issue to make a few drafts, and then we can review them this week. Then we can schedule them for next week and have the Twitter space set up for the following week. And then also in the meantime, it would be great if Griff, you could like reach out to the people in that group and see who would be interested in participating in a Twitter space. And especially like if you're familiar with some of the project owners, and like let them know that we're hosting a Twitter space and ask if they want to participate. And then like get those contacts to Almond, who can then like create a group and start coordinating that.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. And I would say it's just important, I just wrote it in here, but that we point out this USP, right? This unique selling point, like that, Web3 is enabling us to provide this support, right? So I think it's on top of like also explaining just what's going on.
I also had a suggestion. What about making like a landing page for this campaign?
Kind of cool, but I don't know if how that would scale out. Like how do you does it stay then up there forever? Do you just keep it up there for a period of time? The Medium post is
like a bar at the top just to say this is women or tech or environment, whatever, but then that would get swapped out, matching the themes. That would be one way to tie it in.
Yeah, like maybe one way to do it is if we have like the team make a filter on the project page, so then we could just have like a filter that's like from the URL, so it would filter out all the projects that are part of that campaign. So it could be just like a tag or something like that. That might be a simple solution.
Yeah, I was just thinking exactly the same thing. And maybe the best way to go forward with that is to like, maybe if you could coordinate with Monique on that, Corey, and be like, comms team is like, would really love this kind of feature, especially if we're going to do thematic things in the future, where it's like a package deal where we put a banner, you click the banner, and the banner imposes a filter on the projects page that includes only the projects that we include in the campaign. I think it might be too much to ask the dev team and cram down their throats to do something like this for this campaign, but like this would be really cool and a great way of kind of like bringing some of what we need from comms back into dev and like making our DApp kind of like suit our comms needs even better.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea, and it also kind of can go along, Meet the Makers has themes too, so we could include like, that kind of stuff as well in each round or each theme. And if we do causes in the future, it also goes along with.
I also really like the idea of theming and getting behind certain causes at different times. And it's also a nice way of reaching out to the influencers that might be getting behind these causes and supporting them and starting the relationships off with them in that way. It's like, what can we do to support people that are aligned with our same causes? It's a nice way, as opposed to spotting them on the internet and then reaching out that way. It's like supporting them first.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that too.
What I'll do is I'll make an issue on the roadmap repo, and I'll tag you, Corey, and Monique, and maybe like you can kind of discuss a little more of the feasibility, and then it'll get on the token log and we can vote on it and like get it added in the development workflow. It'd be great, like for everything, for Meet the Makers, for all these campaigns, as everyone was saying.
Yeah, we were briefly talking about the token log, by the way, like Monique and I earlier today. And it was also, also an interesting idea to be promoting the token log itself. It's also something that we were talking about, because it's kind of like a way for the community to get involved. It would be interesting to see also, I think, like support for these kind of things. If we're talking about like landing pages for themed fundraising. I don't know, but yeah, I think that would be a great start, because I don't know, we could use that in so many different ways. So thanks for that. I will sync with Monique on it. I would move on a little bit from here then, because I think what we can do is like, I'll create a couple of issues around this for like tweet threads that we can start working on right away. And the one other question I would just have is like, who would be the right person to look into like checking the projects? And I can create an issue around that too, but would just want to make sure that they are like scanned briefly, right? To ensure there's nothing scammy that we're promoting.
Yeah, I can definitely support there and go deeper and just check in their Twitter profiles and see if they'll active and
Yeah, at first glance they seemed legit, and there was a few that didn't seem legit that I didn't put in the GitHub issue. But the ones that I added in there looked legit, but maybe we should look a little deeper for sure. It can help.
And also, I just asked that Web3 Iran group if they had any other projects that we should try to onboard, like ASAP, because I'm sure that there's probably like, it's like, okay, these are the Web3 Giveth aware crew that know of Iran, but like there's probably a lot of better projects that we could try to get on.
There's one that I've been trying to reach out to from Ahmad. It's Iranian DAO, actually, which is a pretty big one, through Ukrainian DAO, but they're still trying to figure out because most of their team is outside of Iran, how to get more of the crypto into it. But I know that's one of them too, and keep you posted on what comes out, because you are right, Griff. There's some big ones that we're not playing with yet.
And there might be more traditional ones too. I don't know. Like there's probably some like vanilla humanitarian aid.
Red Crescent or something like that, yeah.
Yeah, Red Cross, someone.
Would we provide, like, for these kind of situations, like, do we provide like custom onboarding or, like helping them basically get onto Giveth quickly? I don't know.
That's a great idea.
If we reach out to like a vanilla type of...
We have cool onboarding video course created, right? So we can use that. How to create a project, all the walkthrough. So why not to...
Yeah, I also think there's like a huge value in connecting, don't you think, like connecting new projects with existing projects under this theme, right? It's like, that's why I think the Meet the Makers meeting is kind of interesting even for this topic, because like, okay, without people needing to dox themselves, like, wouldn't that be super valuable if new projects are interested in fundraising through Giveth, but they need onboarding? Like, why not put them right in contact with some totally, and we actually understand the needs.
Yeah, and we actually talked about it yesterday too, because it would be a great idea to create more networking space for, let's say, one team and projects really to be able to do this. But yeah, just need to figure out the best platform or format of it, right? So that's like where my mind kind of gets stuck.
Okay. Well, I think this was a really good brainstorm. I'll organize this a little bit more, but basically I think the goal here is like, promoting also the fact that like we can do something here. Also like getting in more projects, maybe, connecting new projects with existing ones for support. And providing value around this. I think that's the most important stuff. So, and then we'll target like a Twitter space for the 7th.
I also just want to bring up, in case it's useful, that in the past, Giveth has helped other projects like this when other platforms wouldn't let them make their projects on there. And so we have like at least one success story that's similar to this story, that if at some point we wanted to highlight that, that is available. So I just wanted to make sure that you guys are aware that that happened a while ago.
Which one?
The Farsi speaking Solidity developer for women, that one. Cheyenne's project.
Yeah, basically that Gitcoin kicked them off. We could keep supporting them.
Yeah.
I'd say then we'll take it to GitHub from there. If you have any other ideas, like write it in there. And I think we've got enough here to like kick off some things. Okay, cool. Then if everyone's okay with it, I would move to the next point, which is about actually like the general, a little bit more like high level overview of the communications like voice of Giveth at the moment, like during the bear market, given the current landscape of things. Lauren and I were also talking about this a bit yesterday in terms of like what's going on right now in the Web3 space. And how it might be like a very great idea right now. I mean, Griff, you posted this awesome article in Discord months ago about like web marketing and Web3 during the bear market. And it like, I think it generates a ton of different ideas of like what we could do with comms. And I think like one of the things we were talking about yesterday is how we can we're like one of the more experienced DAOs in the space. And while everything is taking, there's a lot of, I think, like negative talk at the moment on Twitter. People are worried about what's going to happen. There was the FTX thing recently, and we can provide, I think, a lot of like a really nice voice around, hey, remember why we're here. These are like the core values. This is what we're building for, and also speak from a voice of experience a little bit. So also wanted to open that up for discussion across the group to see what you think, like what your ideas would be around this. And yeah, what you think of moving away from just like talking more about the token and the Give economy, but speaking more from like this perspective.
Yeah, and especially like you said, we were experienced and we've been through bear markets before and came out. And so like, I think that's probably, I don't know how you play it, but that's like the big message here is that, oh yeah, our token price is going to crap, blah, blah, blah. We've seen it before. It will pass and it will go to, and we'll go back to bull market eventually, but we're not going to fail. We've been here before. We'll make it, we're one of the projects that will make it through. And I think that should be a key theme.
Yeah, and I just want to like add to that. I think like in a time of like crisis and fear, when everybody's like, oh no, what's happening? Yeah, having people feel solidified and be like, yeah, cool, I can trust Giveth, I can trust what they're doing, and I can trust like even just that like Web3 can have a positive impact on the world is like a messaging and just like a framing we should keep in our comms. So like part of the purpose of bringing this up in the call is just to kind of like get some feedback from you guys and see also, and just try to get like aligned on like, okay, cool, we're using this voice. We're using like, okay, yeah, it's a bear market, but like we're here to stay, and like you can trust us as an organization. We're not going anywhere, and we really believe that this tech can change the world.
I really like that idea, and I think that it's really important, and it's great that we would be differentiating between the economics and the tech, the capabilities of the tech, and how far that's going to go to affect real people on the ground. Maybe there's some ideas or blog post headers we can put together and then start some thoughts around that, so we can put together a bit of content. If everyone that wants to contribute to creating content can put something together that Suga can review, or others that are able to review. But if we start off with some ideas, then at least it's a collective voice and what we would want to get across.
But thanks, Tim. Are you also just talking about kind of the general, the voice, right? Because I was thinking, I totally agree with that. And I think maybe moving towards that more level-headed approach, it seems like we have this great voice of excitement and we're the best and like exclamation points and all this. And we make these claims like everybody else does about themselves. We're the best. We can do this, and your dreams will all come true. But with the bear market, maybe the voice needs to sound a little bit more logical, which is to say it still offers the same promises, as it were, but in a way that's more comforting as opposed to just exclamatory. Does that make sense?
To be honest, I totally agree with you on that, because I think people are kind of looking for comfort and reassurance right now. Like, it's just a hunch, but like everything got rocked a few weeks ago, and like people are, seem to be like looking around to like, okay, who's experienced in the space? Who's been around for a long time? Which orgs can I trust? Right. And and no one's buying into the whole, I think a shift in voice makes sense in terms of like what people would buy into more now, right? And are looking for like maybe a little bit more seriousness. That doesn't mean you take like the fun out of it, but is that what you mean?
Yeah, I would love to. I also agree with what you both are saying. I would love to just like add one more other thing that came out is like people are really like feeling sketchy about DeFi, and just kind of like we've in the past in a lot of our comms really emphasized, okay, cool, you can get these sweet APRs, you could get these sweet rewards, look, rewards, blah, 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 rewards. But now it's kind of like got a little bit more of a sour flavor. And so like shifting our comms to be like, yeah, cool, there's rewards and that's still important, but like what's more important is like the real impact that we're making, and kind of like this like things that really resonates with people on a deep level, especially like the remaining people who are in the space right now who are really in it to do good. So it's like the people that are still here, they resonate with impact. So focusing on our impact, less on rewards, and like our stability, trust, like that we're going to make it through this challenging time. And and that we're looking forward to the future with optimism.
I'd like to throw one suggestion is framing around thought leadership pieces. So having that in line with like Suga's point about more kind of a more serious tone, having a reflective tone. So lessons we've learned through the bear market, lessons about how when there's a crisis, Web3 is a solution. You know, kind of like in a reflective, what are the lessons? What's the value we can extract? How can we learn as a community? And I think that would be really unique positioning, because it presents leader in a very solution-focused way. And I think that would add a lot of value to the pieces that we publish.
Yeah, I agree. I think that will be really nice. It's a good moment to do that. And also it's a nice moment to align with other causes like the getting behind the Iran project and doing more of that. It feels like it's aligned.
Okay, cool. Does anyone else have something they want to comment on this? Otherwise, I took down like all of our notes here, and I think this is about like just general alignment at the moment, so everyone's sort of aware, and then we can look to spin out some content on this. No. Okay, cool. All right. Well, awesome. Thanks for your input. This is really exciting. I think it's like a lot of cool stuff that we can create here. I will also jump really quick to the Give News newsletter, November edition, just to highlight it. As Ahmad mentioned, we're looking to get this finalized this week, right, Ahmad, so that it can be sent out next week. So if you have any ideas to add here, just wanted to put it on everyone's radar as a priority for the week. Okay. In that case, I mean, this looks pretty good. I've linked the issue here on the agenda. So if there's anything, I'm just going to leave it open for everyone to comment in here. Okay. Okay, cool. Yeah, people are sending. Sorry, it's like very quiet. I should have to go back to Discord for a second to make sure you're all still there. Okay, great. Then I will also real quick touch on Giveth Analytics. You brought this up, Ahmad, in your check-in regarding, I think, like looking to create some infographics. It would be great to get everyone's feedback on this, because I still think this is important. And also, I had this sync with Monique earlier today where he was also asking about like user tracking information, like regarding the website. And I think this is super related to comms, because the question ultimately is like, what is driving users to the DApp? Like Monique's hunch is that it's actually project owners, because they see like a lot more action coming from like specific links to projects versus people like coming just onto like the DApp website and then navigating from there. It'd be really, really great to know like where our comms efforts are paying off the most, right? Is it Twitter? Is it particular blog posts that have been circulated that drove traffic? Things like this. So anyways, I just wrote it in here as well, like based off of our meeting, some questions that were in here, but thought we could talk about this for a minute. And Ahmad, you said you had some comments, right?
Yeah, so in this issue, key monthly stat tweet, we were thinking about what are regular stats that we can share on social media. So the issue got a bit confusing for a while, but yeah, at the very end, I left a comment. I think like there's a few things that we can regularly share that's pretty easy to pull. So the first one is just data from the new dashboard. So that would be really easy to pull. It would take like 30 seconds. Just come here and pull in like, you know, which projects or like, you know, how many new projects were made, how many new donors, and what was the amount donated. So we could do that on a monthly basis maybe. Or I was thinking we could do it in round with the give back rounds. So like it could be every in 2 weeks, we just, you know, post some of these stats and it's in line with the give back round. So like that could be one way of doing it as well. Yeah, so that's the first thing. And then if you go back to the issue, there were two more things that I mentioned as well. So the second one was about like fun stats about projects. So this could be like, this was the most popular project this month. This was the project with the greatest impact. And I mean, all of that could be, you know, subjective based on what we think we want to highlight that month. So like, for example, this month we could do something with what we're doing with the Iran campaign, for example. Then like the last one is we could pull data, which is user data from the platform. So this, for example, we could like pretty easily pull data like what are the most popular locations, like where are our top donors from? Yeah. And like basically like some fun stats around like what locations are most popular on Giveth. So like those three things would only take like 5 minutes to pull. And we already have like places to pull all of that data. So I was thinking like if we all decide that, I mean, those are good things to look at, we just need to decide what is the frequency that we want to pull it, and then make like a format that we can share on social media, maybe like a infographic or something like that. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
I like the idea. I think that stats are very valuable. My one question was they were going to check from the meeting last week how reliable that data was. I'm not sure if anyone has chatted further about that. Do you know, Ahmad, if that data is accurate?
Well, like the first one, like the data from the new dashboard, that definitely should be like real data. So there's no reason to doubt that, I don't think, because it's from the back end. And like the other two, I mean, we're not pulling donation data for those two. So it's just like, you know, where are people coming from? So even if it's not 100%, like I don't think it's a big deal. Yeah.
As far as the project location data is concerned, I think a lot of it's quite incomplete, where projects tend to consider themselves as being global or online projects. They don't enter anything at all. And sometimes that field is just left blank, is my understanding.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. So for that one, you can actually pull it from Google Analytics.
That's what I understood you were saying. Thanks.
Yeah.
That's
so it
really
tracks
cool.
it based on the IP address.
That's really cool. That could actually help with mapping the projects for the project map for the profile page. So I'll talk to you about that at some point.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I would just add that I think like infographics are the best way to share this on social media, like what you're saying, because I think if we were to regularly be posting like some of these stats, I just worry that it would sort of eventually become quite repetitive to people.
Yeah.
You know, some things that we post on social media, like I'm not sure, I feel like they almost get less engagement over time because people are just like used to seeing it. Like we were doing that a bit with the APRs and the regen farms. I don't have like data. I don't have like, I can't prove that. It's just, I think infographics are like can be so engaging that it's like a really great way to be regularly sharing something, but it takes a bit of effort too, right? So it depends like how regular. I think
so I was thinking like, sorry, I mean, we could embed it in the givebacks Twitter threads that we're doing, because I mean, we're sending those out anyway, so we could make those more exciting by including more stats, maybe,
Yeah, that's also true. Yeah, I think like it would be great to get a little bit more input on this. It's like an important topic, for comms in general. So I definitely want to like highlight this issue. And if people can give a little bit more feedback here, that would be awesome, because it's also about like who we're trying to speak to, right? And what stats are interesting to them. Like we can kind of come up with what we think is interesting, but at the end of the day, like who are we trying to really like target, and what do we really want to show? Like growth, impact, what are investors currently like most interested in? Is that something we should be prioritizing? And then I think we just pick a couple to start with. So at least we can like get some like, something that's within reason. We pick the top 2 or 3. All right, so we are actually just hitting the top of the hour. The rest here is, I don't want to take up too much time because we actually have the Give Us Essentials starting right now. So I think we do need to jump. The Doing Good tweet thread is the only other thing. Almond, I'm sorry, we didn't get to that, but do you want to write about that in the comms channel, or I can sync with you about this after?
Sure. I can write it on the comms channel.
Okay, cool. And the same thing with Giving Tuesday. I'm sorry that we ran out of time for this. But if there's anything else, I'm going to jump over to the Giveth Essentials one myself, actually.
Yeah, me too. Thanks, everyone.
Okay.
See you there.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
And have a good day.